Gear 5th Luffy is only a day away, and with this character potentially being the best character in the entire game, we're going to break down some units that work exceptionally well as friend captains, hybrid options, and sub potential for this particular unit. Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're talking about Gear 5 again. We love him. He's coming. Literally less than 24 hours away, and this man will be in game. Gotta say, the artwork is just, oh, it's phenomenal. But with this unit comes a bit of a power creep. He is a 6x captain in his Gear 5 form. He boosts Psy and Free Spirit characters, and if they are both Psy and Free Spirit, he gives them a very nice buff. He is getting a 6+. It has been confirmed that we are getting a 6+ Gear 5 Luffy that will be coming in September through some skulls in farmable events. So, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a lot of characters that work really, really well with him, and what units you can use as either hybrid options if you failed to pull him, or if you are looking for bigger damage teams and you're only running one of them as a friend captain of your own, and what characters will just work exceptionally well alongside him. Obviously, the first one, before we dive in, is Momo. I obviously don't have Momo because Momo is coming out alongside him. Momo is very interesting because he's an EXP captain and he's a wave clearer. But he's also an attack booster, which is like the one thing that Luffy really needs for his team. Plus, Momo is a Psy Free Spirit, and that's going to work nicely. And then obviously you have the 2 new rare recruits too, which should work fairly nicely. Now with Luffy, he has the ability to have an EX special, and I pray to God that you can use his EX special as a sailor. Otherwise, this unit does lose a lot of value. But to get his EX special, you need 3 of the following characters. So remember, you need Luffy and then 3 of these characters. Now, there are a lot of very good characters here, being Momo, Law, Kid, the Straw Hats, and Yamato. So you have a lot of good options, but you need 3 of them, which is actually quite a lot. So let's take a look at some options for some hybrid captains here and see what units are going to work well alongside this particular behemoth. Now, remember, he's a rush unit, so he is going to usually hit, in my opinion, probably around the 5th spot of the chain, because whilst he only gives an attack boost to himself, he gives a 3.0 chain multiplier addition. So that is absolutely monstrous. So the first unit, and probably the best hybrid caption option that I can think of right now, is Nami. Now, with this release of Gear 5, Nami stocks have just gone through the goddamn roof. She was the best legend in the game once the New Year's batch went around, and Sanji gave her a good run for her money for anniversary, but with artificial difficulty and Bandai really trying to nerf this unit, it came down to the fact that the unit didn't really get nerfed. They just made content around it. So this unit becomes an absolute monster. Her super tandem is still the best super tandem in the entire game. She can be a conditional booster to your team. She can be a base stat booster and a chain boost, something that Luffy doesn't provide. Plus, as a captain, she completely removes paralysis. Then she also removes damage reduction and threshold with her special and her super class. She also removes resilience, and then Luffy gets around bind and special reverse. So you have a lot of very good stuff going for you with the 2 of them. You have a lot of power output, and you have a very good super tandem that buffs Free Spirit as well. The next captain option that you guys could use with a friend captain is actually Film Red Luffy. Now, this guy's very, very interesting. He has a final tap, which is something that the other Luffy doesn't have, so you would ideally use him as the last attacker in the chain. Whilst it is only base stats of 2000, it's still something for the final tap if we are running a Psy Free Spirit team. These are your Psy Free Spirit options, because Luffy is the Orb booster and the attack and the Color Affinity booster, 2 characters that have both of those tags. This guy can be your attack booster for the team. He can increase attack and slot effect boost if you can somehow get his special back again. Like if a Straw Hat uses the special. So there's also that. If you're using this guy as a sub though, like you are going to struggle there. But look, he can be your attack booster. He can increase the orbs of Gear 5 and his own attack boost. I don't know if he do color affinity boost as well. No, he doesn't do color affinity boost as well. But that's okay. He's still a very, very good unit. And he's a final type character. He's also a super type. Obviously with Super EX, that kind of clashes a little bit. Nami being a super class for strikers means that she can get all 3 of her tags buffed. Where this guy, he basically just gives cooldowns to the crewmates. And if you're using a friend captain Luffy, you're not going to get cooldowns. Unfortunately, that's kind of where he struggles. And the next option is the GOAT, the King, Goldie Roger. His 6+ can remove Despair, as well as remove 1 Haki blast from the enemy. Now remember, you have a revive mechanic, so that Haki blast removal effect is actually very valuable. Plus, Roger is an attack booster too, which is something that Luffy definitely needs. As a captain, he's a rainbow captain. Luffy boosts Psy Free Spirit, so you have options there. And this unit is just absolutely phenomenal. It's just an amazing, amazing character. And they can both use something like Ace to trigger that super type. Super type is just orbs, it's cooldowns, it works nicely for Luffy. But the attack boost is the real reason you sort of want to use Roger, plus the Despair removal and his removal of effects. Next, we've got Yamato. 6+ Psy Yamato is a phenomenal character. She can remove blinds, and then this Luffy removes blinds, so they do clash in that regard. But she's another final tap character, and the reason I have her on this list is because, one, she's incredibly powerful, but her final tap will actually double the chain multiplier as the final hitter. And then with Luffy adding 3 to the chain, this obviously doubles that, and you can do some crazy things there. She gives Wonder Orbs, which is kind of counterintuitive of what Luffy's trying to do, but she gives the increased damage taken to the enemy, and she's a chain boost, something that Luffy can't, which is very, very nice. And she has that built-in ability in her captain that gives the extra 0.3 to the chain, meaning that Luffy's going to be hitting very, very hard if you're using him as the 5th attacker, and then using this Yamato as that final attacker in the chain. The last captain option I have here is actually Bonnie. Bonnie was a bit of a sleeper for me, but she does hold a lot of value as a captain alongside Luffy, because she is a superclass to fighters. Then that means that Luffy is getting a super type, a superclass, and another superclass. So he's going to be completely boosted across the board. Her super class gives a chain boundary starting at 2.75, maxing at 40 times. She changes block orbs into recovery, as well as her captain ability, making in orbs into recovery orbs. Now remember, Luffy has a higher multiplier if you have a recovery or a Psy orb, so that's very good. Plus, if you tap with her with the recovery orb, if you can somehow get that on the final stage, over a Psy, you can increase that color affinity by 0.5. The downside to her is that her special sort of like counteracts Luffy's, because they're both color affinity boosters and they both do that thing where they increase the potential of the orbs. But ideally, you kind of want to use her special on like a turn 4 situation, unless you need that increased damage taken, which you could definitely use as a replacement for something like Yamato. Moving on to some other options now for subs. These characters could work really, really well under Luffy. So could these characters, don't get me wrong, but they're just really good hybrid characters. These guys all work really well as subs. Ace could be another really good option as a friend captain or your own captain. His super type can give resistance to Psy characters. It's not a lot, but it's definitely something. He does give a small attack boost, but he's all built up around chain as well, which Luffy's very, very good at, utilizing for his his rush mechanic. His special can also give base stats too, so if you're not using Nami, you do have the option of Ace. Ace is a super tandem character that can use Luffy in that super tandem too, so there's also that. Law is another fantastic character that can be used. He can trigger the EX special, as well as being a chain boundary unit. You have options like Odin. Odin can actually give you an attack boost if you have a color affinity boost already, and Luffy being a color affinity boost works really, really well. These are all Psy Free Spirit characters too, by the way. You have Sop's a base stat booster. He's a guaranteed conditional booster. It's an Usopp character, again triggering that super EX, which is very, very nice. And then finally, you've got something like Rayleigh Gaban, a really good option to remove special bind, as well as increase attack boost and stuff like that. Unfortunately, you have like a counterintuitive with orb boosting, but look, they're a very, very nice option nonetheless. As you guys all like have a look around here too, I do have some supports scattered that can all go on Luffy's. You have support rare recruit Ace, you have Brook, you have the Sabo, you have Frankie. All these characters are great support options for Luffy. I'm not going to touch on them, but if you do see these supports, know that they can all go on Luffy as well. The final part of the Psy Free Spirit are the free-to-play characters. Now, these free-to-play characters are going to be very, very vital for Luffy if you are looking for more accessible options. The Brook is a Kazuna rare recruit character. Sorry, not a Kazuna rare recruit. A Kazuna pickup, so he's in the shop. He's an attack booster and can remove damage reduction. He can also give orbs as well. But he's basically going to be your attack boosting option if you're looking for a free-to-play option at 2.25. Plus, he's a Brook, so he triggers the Super EX. And then you have this Zoro, who's the treasure map variant for the Mugiwara celebration. You can pick him up from the treasure map shop. He's also going to trigger the Super EX. He gives threshold reduction. He's a very, very good free-to-play character. Next, we've got Shanks, the Kazuna, another Kazuna character. 5+ Shanks is a chain boundary unit. He maxes at 8, which kind of sucks. But remember, Luffy can add 3 onto this, so it'll max at 11. That plus 3 will break the chain cap, so that's awesome. He's a super tandem unit as well, which can use Luffy. So again, another very, very good option here. Remember, Rush will prioritize over super tandem, so you'd ideally want to tap with Luffy and then Shanks, so then Shanks hits with the super tandem. you're not hitting as hard with Luffy. But look, like I said, you can use Luffy for this, and it is an option. And then finally, I have Chopper, the treasure map Chopper. Very, very good free-to-play character. Again, activating the Super EX. He can give a monstrous heal, which Luffy could definitely use for his rush. Plus, he removes Special Bind, and he gives resistance to Psy. And the final unit that I actually don't have here is a Garp. There's a 5+ Garp from Kazuna as well. Or he might just be like a regular character. No, he's just a regular, like, 5. No, he's a plus. He's a 5+. Okay, cool. This Garp is pretty nice at removing defense up. Remember, when Luffy goes into Gear 5, you ignore defensive effects, but you don't ignore defense up. So with Garp, you can actually have a Luffy on the team, swap into Captain, and you can remove, I believe, 6 turns of defense up with his special and his super type. And then he also gives an attack boost with his super type. So Garp's pretty interesting there. He's also a super tandem character that can use Luffy as well, just like Shanks. Moving on to the next bunch of characters now, we have a bunch of free spirit options. These free spirit characters are all going to be exceptional underneath Luffy, even without getting stuff like the double buff from being free spirit and Psy. So, hybrid option, another super tandem character is Gear 4 Luffy. Anniversary character that came out last year. Fantastic option. Can remove Despair as well, which is something that the new Luffy is missing. However, they are both orb boosters, so that is going to hinder them a little bit, and they both manipulate orbs, where you really want Psy orbs with the new Gear 5, not tandem orbs, but you do need tandem orbs to trigger the super tandem ability. The upside to Nami over this Luffy is Nami can just give herself a tandem. Sabo and Ace, again, the clash of the orb buff is going to be a bit of a problem, but if you need to remove Despair and Special Blind, two of the things that Luffy doesn't remove, you do have the option there. Plus, their switch is just super nice every single turn. They've dropped off quite a bit with the release of a bunch of new characters, but look, it's something you could do. The extra conditional boost for Super Boss Kazuna, Robin is always going to be a staple on any Free Spirit and Cerebral team, and any team that she can get cooldowns, if I'm completely honest. So she's going to shine very, very nicely for, under Luffy, and especially under Nami. Next, you've got the new Rush Sanji. You're not going to use his Rush, however, he gives Chain Boundary, he gives Chain Boost. He can remove Defense Up, which is very valuable for this new Luffy, because you just don't get through that as Gear 5, unfortunately. He also rotates Block Orbs into Recovery, which Luffy can use and heal through. So if you're using him on stage 4, you can definitely use that to heal back up. Because remember, Luffy's Rush takes 20,000 HP at level 5, which is nuts. Next, we've got Zoro. Zoro could be a hybrid option, but I was trying to think of ways to make Zoro work. It's just going to be really hard to get a tandem orb on this guy, as well as then get, like, into the Enmazora state with Wano orbs under both Luffy and Zoro. If you don't have Hiyori, it's very, very hard to do that, and it's something that Zoro definitely hinders from, and I'm very glad that Luffy can just go into his Gear 5 form whenever he likes. But this guy's an attack booster, so he can boost attack to free spirit characters, plus he can be a conditional boost to additional damage taken if you can get that off with something like Yamato as well, or even something like Bonnie. So very good character. You can even hybrid them up if you're stalling. He can be the additional damage dealer as well. Vivi, Nami, great supports for Luffy as well. And over here we had like Ace, Mr. 3, the Sanji support, the waifus. You have so many good supports for Luffy. It's one of the reasons he shines. Brule is another really good option too. Next, we've got the Straw Hat Crew, a very, very good hybrid captain. And this final tap is still the best final tap in the game. It's been almost 2 years, and this unit has been unrivaled. I mean, K-Dad probably tried to rival it, but look, it's still chalk and cheese. With this as a friend captain, and then with Luffy's Rush at level 5, as a sub, provided you can get into Gear 5 with Super EX, this final tap is going to go absolutely ballistic. Plus, it turns Luffy's big color affinity and orb boost into a rainbow boost. It should. The way that I'm looking at it is that it should. It'd be interesting to see how that buff sort of works. But look, very, very good character. Great captain option as well. Their Super Swap can remove Paralysis, which is super nice as well. Moving on to the next character now, we have Super Tandem Law. Super Tandem Law can remove Paralysis, just like Nami. Something that Luffy doesn't have utility for. Plus, this guy can be your attack booster, he can be your orb booster, but for this team, he's going to be the attack booster. And he does chain shenanigans, which is going to be really nice for Luffy's Rush. So that's going to mean that he's going to hit very, very hard. He also heals too, which is overhealing is essential for Luffy, which is great. Plus, he can be a conditional booster. You have Yamato and Ace. They can remove Special Mind as a captain. They have Chain Boundary in their Super Swap, which is nice. They're a conditional boost, and they're an attack boost, so they could be one of Luffy's best friends. However, they do have the clash of Bind and Bind. Shouldn't be that big of an issue, but look, they definitely can see some play. Next, you've got this Sabo, another Chain Boundary character. Removes Special Mind, removes damage reduction, which is whatever. But also has a Super Tandem that can use Luffy. So, another very good Super Tandem character that can use Luffy's. and has great utility and ties in with that chain shenanigan that Luffy can do. And then I put Garp. Garp at level limit break 5 is a great option. His chain boundary is maxing at 6, but he has that ability to just hit goods if you need to, and he removes special blind. Not a go-to option, but definitely one that can work alongside something like Luffy, and then you can use like ASL batch there as well, like Ace and whatnot. Moving on to the final page of like very, very good options that you guys could use for Free Spirit. We have Luffy Yamato. Now, Luffy Yamato, whilst they're sort of centric around strength, dex, and quick, their special can still give the 2 times additional damage taken, and their switch ability is still phenomenal. Like, it's still a phenomenal switch. Their captain ability can remove bind completely, which does clash with the new Luffy. However, they're just so good. Like, they're such a good unit. Definitely one that a lot of people have underrated, and like just a phenomenal character. Another unit that I haven't actually touched on at all, who I really should have put down here, is Verse Yamato. Verse Yamato is another really, really good option. She completely removes Despair, just like Roger, and she has an attack boosting special, as well as a additional damage for damage reduction. So, unfortunately, Luffy in his Gear 5 state removes all damage reduction effects on himself. However, you can still turn that damage reduction into an attack boost with Yamato, so you still get that fun stuff there. She gives 1 orbs and 10 orbs, which is a little bit annoying because Luffy wants Psy orbs, and that's sort of her downside. But look, she's definitely a very, very good option, and running them as like hybrid captains or as a sailor will definitely see some play. Corazon, terrific character, great for utility, great for healing, which Luffy definitely needs. Ashura Zoro won't really see that much play under Luffy because you need a 1-0 orb on Luffy to get the full effects of this guy. But look, definitely an option there. He works better under something like Super Tandem Luffy, if I'm completely honest. You got Toki. Toki's just shown how valuable she is as a free spirit character and her Toki ability. Just ignoring everything that you need to. If you put it on Luffy, you give Gear 5 the ability that he just should have had built into his captain. And then finally, we got the waifus. Waifus are great because they just give cooldowns. They give 1 turn of cooldown, which Luffy needs so bad, just like Rayleigh Gaban. They have a final tap, which you can use too, and they remove paralysis and attack down, which is great utility. Plus, again, they're a very good healer. So, all of these characters are amazing as free spirit options. And then finally, we have some Psy options. Now, remember, Luffy does boost free spirit, Psy, and then if they're together, free spirit and Psy, he gives them the bigger boost. So, these characters here all have some sort of very good use under Luffy in some way. Remember, you need 3 Straw Hats or Momo, Law, Kid, and I think that was it. To actually get the Super EX. And the free-to-play Straw Hats are going to be very, very good for that. The Sanji, he's a chain boundary unit, so he's probably going to see the most value under Luffy. Getting around damage nullification doesn't matter in barriers because of Luffy's Gear 5, but having that chain boundary is great. And he's a Sanji, which means that you can get a character for Super EX. You have some utility here with Robin as well. Robin's also a free spirit character, which is awesome. She has Despair, she has Attack Down, which Luffy can't get around. Plus, she has a conditional boost there too. And remember, if you have a Luffy, all these characters are very, very good. The Verse Whitebeard could be a good chain boundary unit. He's a striker, so if you're using him under Nami, you can do some fun stuff there. The downside is he does reduce your HP by like 80% after that. But look, the chain boundary shenanigans that he can do is nice, and he is a Super Tandem unit if you can like get that to work somehow. Chopper's got great utility, another really good healing unit. Again, another unit that can be used for the Super EX. And then finally, we've got Jinbei. Jinbei's biggest downfall is that he's not free spirit, but he's another chain boundary unit. He completely removes damage reduction, which is kind of like lackluster because of Luffy's ability to just go through defensive effects. But his chain boundary unit's great. He can be an attack booster to Psy as well if you already have a chain boundary as well. So there's also that. And he is a super class for fighters too, which means that Luffy is going to be getting a lot of buffs there. The only other unit that I didn't touch on is one that if you are a newer player, I really wanted to highlight this at the end, is this Luffy right here. If you're a newer player and you haven't got this guy 5+, make sure to do it. And if you're a new player watching my Ultimate Series, this guy should be your priority. This guy is an attack booster. He's a phenomenal captain as well. So if you're starting the game and you're just like building up gems and trying to summon for Gear 5, you can easily use this guy as a hybrid option with Gear 5 Luffy to just tear through content. This guy can increase slot effect boost by 0.25, which works for Luffy. And he boosts attack by 0.25 as well, like on the next turn. If you use his special, you can get cooldowns, you can get 2.5 times attack for 3 turns. He's just a fantastic free-to-play character. He has a super type as well, making Psy Orbs at a higher rate as well. So then you have your 2 units that are working in tandem there. He has Hunger. He's just a fantastic free-to-play character, and one that I definitely would prioritize if you're a newer player. But it's going to wrap up the video. I just wanted to touch on some very, very good characters that you guys should be looking for or maxing out if you are looking at using this new Luffy, or what characters are probably going to see a rise and resurgence with the next sort of month of content. But let me know if I missed any in the comment section below. Let me know if you're excited for Gear 5 and who you're going to use him with down below as well. While you're down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.